Hello, it's Christine from Christine Rose Photography. And if you are anything like me, your feed has been absolutely blowing up with Comet NEOWISE. So here we are. I'm recording this on July 12th. I have yet to get an image of the comet due to rain and fog as I look outside, and it's just crazy fog out. But I am hopeful that soon I will have a window of clear sky. Now, I know exactly where I'm going to go shoot because I've gone in and planned it out using Stellarium and Planit Pro. So what I'm going to do is show you how to find the Comet NEOWISE in Stellarium, and then I'm going to give a quick little run through into how to use the data that we get from Stellarium in PhotoPills and Planit Pro. These are apps on your phone, so if you don't have these apps, you do need them for the second part of what I'm going to do for the more in detail planning. So we're going to go in and look at exactly how to plan it out. Now, if you are in Stellarium and you just type in NEOWISE, you are probably going to get a comet that's a past comet. So NEOWISE actually stands for Near Earth Object Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, aka NEOWISE. And NEOWISE has found multiple comets. So there is a very good chance that if you have not updated the comets in Stellarium, you are not looking at the right one. And I say that because I went into Stellarium and typed in NEOWISE and I'm like, oh, it's in the south. It's supposed to be in the north. Yeah, it's in the north. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop on over to Stellarium and I am going to show you exactly what we need to do to get the Comet NEOWISE into Stellarium. So what we're going to do here in Stellarium, we're going to come over to our options toolbar and we are going to go to the configuration window. We'll click on that. In here, we're going to go over to plugins and then we are going to scroll down to Solar System Editor and we're going to click on configure. Now in here, we want to go over to the solar system and we want to come down here where it says import orbital elements. So we're going to import. Now, we're going to click on comets because that's what we want. When I watched a tutorial on this, they were able to have a drop down and they had Gideon and it had something else longer here. This is one that I've actually already put in and they were able to just click on that. I was not able to do that. So if you do not see that, all that you have to do is paste in this URL and you will find this URL right below this video. So I am going to type it in. So all you have to do is copy and paste to bring it in. You don't have to do some intense Google searching to find it. So then what we're going to do is click on Get Orbital Elements. Now what happens as we go in, you can see all of these comets. Now you can scroll down and find C2020 F3 NEOWISE, or if you're like me, you're a little bit lazy, you don't want to do that, you click Mark All and then Add Objects. Now I have Update Existing Objects and I have Update Only the Orbital Elements clicked here. So then we will go in and click Add Objects and that's going to take a moment. Now those objects are added. Now you cannot, I'm going to just X out everything here. You cannot at this point go in and search for the Comet NEOWISE with your search window. You have to close Stellarium and then restart Stellarium. Okay, that's very important. If you don't do this step, you're not going to see the comet. So we'll give Stellarium a moment to open up. Okay, now what we can do is we can go here to our search window and you want to type in 2020 F3. So you see how there's a whole bunch of other options coming up? We don't want any of that noise. We want this. We want C2020 F3 NEOWISE. Now you could put C / 2020 F3 NEOWISE, but if you just do 2020 F3, it's going to pop up. So now we will click to see it. And now we see where it is. So at this particular time, when I am recording it, it is quite high in the sky. Now, what we can do, of course, those of us who have used Stellarium, and for those who have gone through my first Milky Way course, the free training that I did last May, and actually I have one coming up in, in just a little bit over a week on the 20th, and you will be familiar with using Stellarium. If you're not familiar with using Stellarium, I recommend that you go and take a look at a few tutorials because there's a lot that you can do in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and let's fast forward, and it's going to follow the comet, which is lovely. And I'm going to get to nighttime. So this evening, I'm going to be able to go in and see exactly where the comet's at. Now, if you don't have your cardinal points on, you can turn those on down here. So you can click here, or you can just click Q. You can see the command. Oh, I clicked ground. Sorry. Cardinal points here. There we go. Turns them on and off so you can see exactly where it's at. And now if we just keep going, we can see that the comet is setting and then rising. Now, if this so happens to you, do you see how it's popping in behind this building? It's not the funnest thing ever. So what you can do is you can just go over here into your side toolbar, sky and viewing option window, and then we can go up here to landscape and we can just choose a different landscape. So I actually am a Swiss Canadian, so I do like to put it on Geneva. And so here we have it. That's a little bit easier. So now we can see it. So we can bring it back up. So this is going to be exactly how you find where the comet is. Now, you will notice I have my information up here. It's short information. If you haven't configured this, you probably have a really big block of text here. What I'm going to recommend you do, and it's up to you, but I like to go in and not have a ton of information. So I'm going to come over here to my configuration window, and I'm going to go over to information. Okay, now here you can have all available, and that does everything. You can see how it gives you a long list. What I actually care about is I care about having the azimuth and the altitude. Now, I will also do the name. So I like to have the name up top so I know what I'm looking at. And I generally leave the visual magnitude on as well. You don't need that, but I just kind of like to have it. So what you do want is the azimuth and the altitude. That's very important because this here, our azimuth, so we can see it's at 335 degrees at 10:36 p.m. This is very important for the next step in our planning, which is to go in and use PhotoPills and Planit Pro. Now, the other thing that I like to do is I like to switch to my ocular view with my Nikon D750. So I have my D750 and my lenses put in as telescopes. And then I like to go in and see it at 300 millimeters. So I might be shooting this at 300, I might be shooting it a little bit longer, but this gives me an idea of exactly the composition and the timing on where the comet is going to be in relation to my, my landscape. Now, this is the second very important thing. And here we have our altitude. So now we can see we are at 4 degrees. As we move this, you can see how the altitude is changing. This is important based on the focal length that you're going to use. So the longer the focal length that you're going to use, the less area that you're going to see. So I know specifically for me, if I'm shooting on my long lens with my 600 millimeter, I actually only get, if I'm shooting in portrait mode, I believe it's 5 degrees above the horizon. And that's really important because I need to know where is this going to be. So for instance, this is actually not going to work. I'm going to be shooting probably here. So I'm going to be shooting somewhere in this range. So it looks like 336 degrees would even come down. Probably even a little bit later. Let's just put this into 23, not 23, 40, 23. There we go. So let's see, it's at 3 degrees and it's at 339. So this is actually probably for me what I am going to use to put in. Now, if you are in a place that has mountains, etc., this is not going to work for you because you're going to have the comet is in behind the mountains. So you need to make sure you take into consideration the altitude of the scene that you're at, right? So what is the degree of elevation in relation to the altitude of the comet? I live on the ocean, so my degree of elevation is sea level. So for me, I don't have to take that into consideration. Okay, so this is how we go in and we find the comet in Stellarium. This is the first step. Now, you do not necessarily need to go in and do the next step that we're going to get into, but it will It really will make a huge difference for planning if you want to get an image of the comet with a landscape, which is kind of my thing. I like to take images of cool stuff in the sky, but really cool landscapes. So for that, what we're going to do is we are going to hop on over to our phone and we are going to go in. The first app that I'm going to go in and look at is PhotoPills. Okay. And I will say, so I have a little bit of a bias here, that I really like using Planit Pro because it lets me get a little bit more in depth. But I do know that PhotoPills is the app that most people have to start with. So we're going to go in and use PhotoPills. I'm going to show you how to put in the azimuth, so the 339 degrees that we looked at, and how we can use that to plan out our composition. Okay. Now, quickly before we do that, you want to make sure you're looking depending on the day, right? So we're going to find that different days, and let's just hop back in to Stellarium, just quick. I promise we're going to get to PhotoPills in just a moment. So if we look at different days, we can see now how it is moved. No, and it's not on the comet anymore. There we go. We can see now how in 2 days, when it is at 3 degrees elevation, it's now at 345 degrees. So this is going to be, you're going to be planning this a little bit closer to the day. So when you know that you have good skies, then you're going to be looking to get your exact composition, especially if you are in a position where the place that you are shooting from, you aren't able to necessarily move very much one way or the other. If you're on the edge of a mountain, or you're right on the ocean on a bridge or something like that. So you do need to take into consideration that I'm doing this for 339 degrees. That's because I'm, fingers crossed, going to go out and shoot tonight, and that's where it's going to be setting right over my landscape. Okay, so let's get in and let's take a look at PhotoPills. Okay, so now here we are in PhotoPills, and you should see it popping up right here beside me. And what we're going to do in PhotoPills is we are going to go into our planner, okay? So here in our planner, what we need to bring up is we actually have to bring up a tool. So we're gonna go into the options layer. So it looks like the 2 squares are on top of each other in the lower right-hand corner. We're gonna click on that. And then what we want to do under Map Tools, we're going to click on Field of View. That's what we need to have. So we'll click Done. Now what you can see is we have some options up top. So we have the D750, that's the camera that I'm working with, 300 millimeters. And then what we really want to look at here at the end is see how it says 340 degrees. This is where we go in and we put in the azimuth. So the azimuth that we got from Stellarium, exactly where the comet's going to be. So I'm going to go in and put 339. 339, 340. Yeah, it's close. I know I'm being nitpicky. And this shows me exactly where my frame is going to be looking when the comet is at 3 to 4 degrees elevation. Okay. So what I can do here is I can go in, I'm going to drag my point over here. This is a little look off over a lake, and we can see exactly where it's looking. And if we change, so if I go in and say, okay, that's with my 300, what if I wanted to shoot with my 600 millimeter? Okay, this is what we see. So we can see that very narrow band. Okay, maybe I want to try and do something that is a little bit more wide angle. Maybe I'm just going to shoot at 70 millimeters. So now we can go in and we can start to see what I'm going to get. So here, this is a shot where I could have a little bit of the trees, but then I get that reflection, and hopefully I get the comet and the reflection of the comet. Okay, so this is in PhotoPills. So this lets us go in and plan out how we're going to shoot. You can of course switch from portrait to landscape and go back and forth there. Okay, so that's PhotoPills. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Planit Pro. And here in Planit Pro, what we need to do is we have to go over to our options. So in the upper left-hand corner, those 3 lines that we have, you want to go in here and click on Photography Tools, okay? Now what we want to do is click on Focal Length. So this is very similar. And now what you can see is we have this little thing coming up, and we see elevation angle, azimuth, focal length, and orientation. So I can go in here to my azimuth and I will put in 339 degrees. And now wherever I move my map to, it's a little bit different in PhotoPills. You have to click and drag to move the pin. Here in Planit Pro, whenever you move the actual screen, it is going to move the cursor is going to stay in the center, and so you can actually see. So I like this for kind of scouting around and saying, okay, where might be a good spot to go and shoot. So if this is a good spot, what I would do is I would actually come in here and hit the plus, and I would say set camera location. Now what I like about that is I can zoom out and I can look and see exactly where this is going to look at. And so here it's just going to go over this shoreline. So if I were trying to plan something out where there was a very interesting, let's say there is a lone tree on a hill, or there's some type of interesting landscape object that I wanted to get that's fairly far away, I can use it using this tool. So I can, of course, go into my focal length and I can choose 300 millimeters instead of 600 millimeters. I can change my orientation from portrait to landscape. Now, the reason why I really, really like Planit Pro is if we go in and we're going to click the square in the lower right hand corner, that lets me go in and say Viewfinder VR. And what I like about this is this gives me a view of the landscape. Okay, now you may have to go in and download the data, but it doesn't take very long to do. And now what happens is I can see in that direction that I'm shooting what the landscape looks like. You can see here, it's only at +1 degree. If you live somewhere that's very mountainous, this is going to look a lot different. But this gives you the elevation data. So I know that at 339 degrees azimuth, at it was about 11 p.m., that the comet was at 3 degrees. Okay, that was the altitude of the comet. So here I can see landscape orientation is not going to work great, but portrait orientation is going to work pretty well. So here I have that my my land is coming up to +1 degree in the altitude, and then at 3 degrees is where it would be starting with the comet. And now I know that the comet is setting. I'm clicking and dragging. I know that the comet is setting as it gets more to 340, 341. So I know it'll be down more at 2 degrees. And so if there are no trees and stuff here, this doesn't take into account trees or any elements that come up off of the ground. This is only ground elevation data. I know if there's nothing like that and it's a nice clear view of the sky over the land, that I could be shooting maybe at 340. And so this lets me go in and see exactly what it's going to look like. So now I can go from 300 and let's go to say 600. And then I have to scroll down and here's the view that I have. And at 600 millimeters, I can see that I really need the comet to be literally just setting. So I hope that this has been very helpful in your planning for shooting the comet. Who knows how long we're going to have the comet for. So if you have clear skies, get out, get some shots, and I look forward to my feed being flooded with lots more comet photos. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. You can find me Christine Rose Photography on Facebook and at Christine Rose Photography on Instagram. Feel free to send me a message or a DM. Okay, have a great day, everyone.